Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. This is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things 33 common sense lens. And well, if you hadn't heard already, boys and girls, if you thought the 007 James Bond franchise was bad during the Daniel Craig era for a few of those movies out there, especially that last one, well, guess what? Amazon said, hold my beer and watch this, because now it's official after a lot of back and forth between the owners of the 007 franchise and Amazon, who now owns MGM. All the back and forth that was lovely to talk about, how Broccoli was calling Amazon just a bunch of idiots and everything else. Well, at the end of the day, the Bezos bucks do end up paying the bill, because as you can see over here, rest in peace, James Bond. James Bond, shocker. Amazon MGM Studios takes creative control of Spy franchise as producers Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli step back. Yes, Barbara Broccoli, the lady who said Amazon was just nothing more than a bunch of absolute imbeciles out there. Well, apparently she got paid enough to shut up and sit down, because now we're going to get diversity, inclusion, and equity bond as soon as it comes. Don't believe me? Have you watched The Rings of Power, boys and girls? Have you seen what kind of abomination they've done to Tolkien? Do I need to mention The Magicians, the very last season out there? Or how about so many of the other projects, Wheel of Time, that they've absolutely devastated and destroyed? Yeah, guess what? Good old Jennifer Salke over there at Amazon MGM is going to do the exact same thing to the 007 Bond franchise. And boys and girls, it's going to be insane. So we're going to check out this article from Deadline.com. Getting all the juicy details of exactly what's going on and how the transfer of power has now happened. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we just crossed 1,600. We're on our way to 17, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Do you think this might actually end up having the potential to have something to actually come good out of this? Do you think it'll all matter about who the people they actually put in charge of the franchise over there with Jennifer Salke and the rest of Amazon MGM? Or do you believe, like a lot of people out there, this is going to be an absolute RIP to the James Bond franchise, and they're going to go full diversity, inclusion, and equity with this franchise going forward now that it's in control of Amazon MGM completely and totally? Let us know what you think about all that in the comments section down below. If you'd like to help support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, from Deadline.com, Justin Kroll, Mike Fleming Jr., and Jake Cantor. Why do they need three people to write one article? That's kind of wild to me. In the news that will send shockwaves through the industry, longtime James Bond producer Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli are relinquishing control of the beloved Spy franchise and handing the reins to Amazon MGM Studios. As part of the arrangement revealed Thursday, Amazon and the producers have formed a new joint venture to house the Bond intellectual property rights, with Broccoli and Wilson remaining co-owners of the franchise. So technically that means, I guess, they'd get some profit or stuff like that, but I don't think there's going to be any profit off of this. Under terms of the new venture, Amazon MGM Studios will gain creative control of 007. Financial details were not disclosed, but there is already industry speculation that Broccoli and Wilson will have received a healthy payday from Amazon and will continue to have some shared economics going forward. I mean, yeah, the Bezos bucks paid off, the check cleared, and Barbie's like, you know what? Whatever. You bought my parent, you bought my father's heritage, you bought my legacy, you bought my father's legacy because you paid me enough to shut up and sit down. And honestly, that just shows you the kind of quality of the character of Barbara Broccoli. So yeah, not exactly looking good on her for this kind of thing either. At least not from a fan perspective anyway. But hey, guess what? You got paid. Whatever. Since the most recent series starring Daniel Craig came to a close after 2021, pick No Time to Die, 007 has appeared to be in the no man's land. Despite wild speculation about who will replace Craig, there has been no substantive updates about the future of the franchise. In this information vacuum, there's been multiple deeply reportedly press stories about the tensions between Amazon and Bond producers following the streaming's $8.5 billion takeover of MGM in 2022. All because Jeff Bezos wanted to start going to the cocktail parties in Hollywood because he was tired of hanging out with a bunch of nerds out there in Silicon Valley. The Wall Street Journal reported in December that the relationship had all but collapsed, and Broccoli had characterized Amazon two friends as fucking idiots, which, hey, she ain't wrong. Now, some of that ire had to do with Broccoli's resistance to making James Bond open to an expanded universe concept that was embraced with the Star Wars, Spider-Man, and Marvel superhero universe. Yeah, how's that working out for those people? How's those Sony Spider-Man movies? How's Disney's MCU working out for them? Yeah, I'm sure this is going to be wonderful for the James Bond franchise, won't it? Yeah, not so much. Spin-offs on other characters did not please her, and there would be a priority volume-driven company like Amazon. They would be a priority to a volume-driven company like Amazon. Oh boy, I can't wait to see what that comes up with. To Broccoli, 007 is a gem that consists of movies at a time, carefully crafted and never out of her controlling hands. The five-picture arc accomplished with Craig with filmmakers like Sam Mendes was a remarkable achievement. But clearly something had to give because it was just taking us just as long to get on track with the new chapter from 007, with the star in the making to play him, and with greater filmmakers like Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino, and Edward Berger, all 007 acolytes who have expressed interest in taking the baton. Today's development might make it possible to enlist a filmmaker like Tarantino or Nolan, who insist on control of their projects. That was never going to happen under Broccoli and Wilson, protecting the assets their father built into Hollywood's most enduring blockbuster franchise. First thing is, who at Amazon will run and oversee this? And that's the big problem with any of this kind of stuff, right? That is the big problem with this, because Amazon sometimes gives us a gem on occasion, but more often than not, it's hot garbage, which is why we expect this complete and total control to be taken over to be absolutely a mess. Internally, Amazon's top film executive, Courtney Valentina, is seasoned pro who oversaw all kinds of big films at Warner Brothers. And also, Warner Brothers? I don't know if that's really the best track record. You want something to put on your air out there. I'm going to give us some of the movies she's actually worked on. Also under the umbrella of Scott Stuber, or after building Netflix from film output, was brought on to revive United Artists. He might be a smart choice as he's getting underway, and 007 has a long history with the UA banner. Both of them impeccable creative relationships and reputations, so they're capable adults on the premise who can guide the next iterations of the franchise. To the tones, today's press release was not so caustic, while Wilson describing Amazon as a trusted partner. Following the deal, insiders said no decisions have been made on future Bond films, including who will star, direct, and write the next feature. That means another installment is likely years away. Since the theatrical introduction over 60 years ago, yada, yada, yada. We're grateful to the late Albert Broccoli, Harry Saltzman for bringing James Bond to the theaters, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. With my 007 career spanning nearly 60 years, I'm stepping back from producing James Bond to focus on art and charitable projects. Therefore, Barbara and I agree it's time for our trusted partner, Amazon and MGM Studios to lead James Bond into the future, which means they got a big fat paycheck and they're going to be gone. And yeah, we're going to get Rings of Power abominations. Broccoli said, my life has been dedicated to maintaining and building upon the extraordinary legacy that was handed to Michael and me by our father, producer Kubi Broccoli. I have had the honor of working closely with the four of the tremendous talented actors who played 007 and with thousands of wonderful artists in the industry. With the conclusion of No Time to Die, Michael retiring from films, I feel it's time to focus on my other projects. Yeah. And they talk about like some of the creative people that could be involved in this, but like at the end of the day, we know as long as Jennifer Salke's in charge of MGM Studios, as long as she's the head over there, this thing's going to turn into an abomination, because she is totally down with the DIE cult, right? She's diversity, inclusion, and equity through and through. She's an absolute acolyte of the cult. She's possessed by the spirit of the age, and that's why we got the abominations that are Rings of Power and the Wheel of Time. And I don't think it's going to be any different whatsoever for James Bond. Why would we expect anything different in any way, shape, or form? We saw the abomination they did to Tolkien's great work. Why wouldn't they do the exact same thing? We're going to get a million spin-offs and nonsense of other 007 characters, and they'll probably race swap or gender swap, or if not both, James Bond in the next movies. It'll be, I don't know, Jamie Bond or something like that, because that's exactly what they're going to look at as the 007. It's just a mantle. We can pass it around, just like Disney Marvel is doing with Captain America. And it didn't work out for them, and it's certainly not going to work out for Amazon. So I love to say, Amazon, make the smart decision and find some good quality people that actually give us good quality 007 series. But out there, at the end of the day, I know that the Amazon is completely and totally possessed by the spirit of the age. We have seen no signs of them changing outside of Jeff Bezos firing some of his reporter people out there. We have seen no change come out of MGM Studios in any way, shape, or form. So there's no reason to not expect more of the exact same thing when it comes to the 007 franchise. Like I said, hashtag rest in peace, James Bond.